Hey, what's up? This is Brock from 36 Crazyfists, and you're listening to Rhino Radio.
So I'm here with Brock of 36 Crazyfists. How are you, man?
Right?
You good?
Yeah.
Adjusting, defrosting.
Yeah, it's not too bad, man, to be honest. I mean, we're having a fairly moderate winter up in Alaska as well, so, it wasn't bad at all.
So if somebody's been following your band, then you should know that the band's just shredding and bringing the noise and pain on stage. And as soon as you walked into Birmingham, you brought the thunder and snow, all the Alaskan fury. So do you control the weather now as well?
Yes, we order up the weather every day, and we order snow today.
Okay, so thank you for stopping it. It was
You're
kind
welcome.
of moderate for the last few
You're
days,
welcome.
and then snow, and now you're making it easier for us.
It's actually been snowing pretty much every day we've been here. So we started out in Glasgow, snowed there. It was weird though. It snowed, it hailed, and then it was sunny.
So should we warn London now?
I want some sunshine from London.
Okay. So you control that. So London, just expect some sun. Brock said it's gonna happen.
Yeah, that's the local weather news.
Okay, and the last time you were here, if I'm mistaken, was about 4 years ago. You were supposed to be here about 2 years ago, and then the tour changed. Am I off? I was here 4 years ago when you were here.
Okay,
the last time we were in
the last time we were here was with Yeti again.
Okay.
Who's our support now? All hail the Yeti. So we came on the last album, Time and Trauma.
And then the tour cancelled, half of it.
Huh. For some reason I don't remember that.
Okay.
But we did a full tour. You might be right. Maybe we did not. I know we played Download on the last album, and that was the only festival we did. I don't know. I slept since then.
Okay. So coming back to the UK, it's been a while. Do you have any fears, any concerns? Just excitement?
Yeah, I mean, all the UK shows sold out right before we got here, which was really special. So that's always good for morale. The first two shows, Glasgow and Manchester, were incredible. Tonight's going to be even better, I guarantee it. And then London tomorrow. So we're excited, and then we move on to the rest of Europe. And I mean, anytime we get the opportunity to come over here, it's special for us. It's just always been a little bit better than the States for us, for whatever reasons. And so we don't take that lightly, and we're super grateful for that.
Okay, so I'm sorry to change the vibe now.
Okay.
But the last year was kind of rough with musicians showing us how dark it is to be a musician.
Yeah.
And the last album is called Lanterns, and I've been listening to some of the lyrics, and I know you'll be dealing with some loss since day one of the band.
Yeah.
Is there something that we need to pay attention to?
Well, I think where I sit today, I'm in a lot better place than when I wrote the last album, and maybe all the albums. I think ultimately what I learned is that people need people. Everybody has their demons, everybody has their low points. If you don't have a decent support group to be able to have those hard conversations, and that's the other thing, as men, I can't speak for women because I'm a man, I think we're pretty shut down emotionally sometimes, and we don't like to reveal our inadequacies. So I'm surely in that department where I didn't really want anyone to know that I was struggling. And once I had those hard conversations, man, it's amazing how much better you feel, number one. And you also need someone or a support group that isn't going to judge you. They're going to listen and call you on your shit. I don't know if you can cuss on this. But I seriously needed that. I needed to be called out on my ways. The way I'd been living the last few years was very dishonest to myself, to people that loved me. And I don't really realize it, to be honest. Just kind of going through the motions, being not the best version of myself. And it's hard to come to terms with that. So, back to your question, ultimately, I needed to be able to talk it out and come to terms with some embarrassing things. And it's all right to be embarrassed. It's all right to be ashamed. But the most important thing throughout all that is you need to learn to be accountable and change it if you can. I mean, you can talk about it all day, but if you're not putting the tools in motion to fix what's ailing you, then I think you're just stuck. And being stuck is not a good spot. I know where I was, and I know where I don't want to be. And that's back there. So, each day now, also, not to be so long-winded on the question, but all the years of putting out records, people would say, oh, was it a really therapeutic process for you to write this record? And I'd be like, oh yeah, it was. And it was, I guess, at a point. But this album in particular, not before I wrote the album, but before I recorded the album, I was already in a different place. So at that time, right before it, wasn't sure if I wanted to do it. I was like, I don't know if I want to talk about this stuff anymore. I'm over it. I want to move away from it. And then, actually, my girlfriend told me, she's like, you got to get it off your chest. It's what you do. I was like, but the reason why I didn't want to do it is because I've been doing that for so long and I haven't been changing anything. So I made a point to process that if I'm not changing it, I'm just stuck. So I really made a point to try and be aware, have these inner alarms that will let me know when I'm going down that path that is not healthy for me. And I've done it my whole life, and I've gotten worse as I got older, and that's because you do that. You get stuck in your ways, and you just get complacent on, yep, I drink a lot, and I do drugs, and if that's what you do, and you only talk about it, that's not healing from it. So I'm just using those as an example, and I have done plenty of them in my life. I just think that those were the areas, especially for me, drinking and drugging and things of that nature really do cause depression. And when you're pretty up, mostly, but you get into those little spots, they're like, you might not have the tools to have any sort of defense against them. You just are like, this is the part of it. Sweet, I'll get through it. That's a terrible way to live, and I lived it that way for so long. So, to answer your question, long story short, I really am trying on this album, those words, to really remember where that was, and don't go there again. Now, no one's perfect, and I understand that, but you don't have to be complacent and just accept it. Plenty of people have changed their lives, and for better, and I'm going to be that guy too. And I think that's the mindset I have now.
Your answer put so many questions in my head, so I'm going to pick just two.
Sure.
So my main question is, as a fan, is there anything that fans can do to support musicians? So when musicians do hit that rough spot, is it something that fans can do, whether just post something, buy merch, hug them in a show, or let them be?
I think it depends on the artist. You know what I mean? It depends on the music. It depends on what the message is. I only know what I know about us, and we always have a pretty positive vibe at our shows, and we're pretty approachable, if not maybe the most approachable band I know. I'm not saying that we're better than anybody else. I'm just saying we'll be in the bar. We'll be with our people, and we love that. So, yeah, hugs are great, Who doesn't want a hug? But I just think it depends on... I think more importantly, it's the people around you that love you, that won't judge you, that will listen to you, but will also call you on your shit. That's the most important for people, beyond musicians or whatever, you're a carpenter, whatever you do. You need to have someone that will listen, not judge, but, you can't just have yes men.
Okay, and do you need those people on tour with you? Because I know, or at least I think, that the different lifestyle might affect as well.
Well,
the dark spots.
Yeah, absolutely. People that are really struggling with drugs and things like that, certain people do have sober coaches with them. And that's awesome.
Or even just being alone, because you have your family back home, you have your best friends back home, some on tour with you.
Yeah.
And then when you feel alone, obviously touring, so you have sound check, and then you have an hour on stage, and then you're back on the bus.
Yeah.
So
I think it's all where you're at mentally. Like this tour, we're only 3 days into it, but we're with some of our best friends, which is All Hail the Yeti. We've done so many tours together. They're from Canada. We're from Alaska. I mean, we are just thick as thieves. I have not stopped laughing since I got off the plane. Like, I'm having so much fun already, and I know it's going to be even better as it goes. That's wonderful. But it also is because everybody is in a pretty good spot mentally. Had I been at different times in my life, I'd also be glad that they were there to help me. So I think it's part of that. But yeah, people that are really struggling, absolutely. And I've heard of other people having those sober coaches out with them to just kind of, I don't know if that's what they're called, but maybe I made that up. But somebody to like keep them in line, right? I mean, if you don't want to do it and you're left to your own devices, maybe you don't have the strength to not do it, because we're human. And no matter what, I mean, we've seen it throughout history, you know, people have made a lot of mistakes because of substance abuse. So, yeah, I think it is important. For myself personally, I am aware of my issues, but I'm trying to really curb certain parts of them.
okay, so you've said that you're in a really good place right now.
Yeah.
And it's been a really fun tour so far. So if you're talking about the creative future, should we expect a song from 36 Crazyfists about unicorns and ukulele?
No.
Not yet. Not there yet.
But that being said, I really don't want to have to rehash the old bullshit. So I'll find a new way. And it's always had some sort of light source, a source of hope at the end of these songs, because I need that. Personally, I need a way out. That won't ever change for me. There's plenty of things that need correcting. And I'm such a vague writer that, you know, I could be singing about unicorns and maybe you wouldn't even know. So I think we're fine in that department. I have other ideas for other things that would be really cool. The Alaskan Native culture is a very cool, spiritual design. They have totem poles that have animals on them, and those animals represent certain stories. And I love that. And it's this cool, spiritual, hippy-dippy thing that they have created. And I was thinking about maybe somehow seeing how those animal stories could obtain to my own life and doing something in that sense. It's going to take a lot more research. It's going to have to be respectfully done, because I am born and raised in Alaska, but I'm not native. I'm a white guy. And there's friction there in certain parts. I have plenty of native friends, so I've never had the personal friction, but you'd want to make sure that was done correctly if I entertained that anymore. But I think it'd be cool. It'd be a representation of where I'm from, and have it obtain to my story too through the animal's story. I think would be kind of neat.
Sounds like something we should be looking forward to.
You never know, if we're talking about this 2 years later, then we pulled it off, and or maybe we're not, but you never know.
So I'm looking for that already.
Cool.
And I know that you guys are into films. The name of the band is after films. What's the latest film that just took you and just knocked you down? Either made you cry, or made you laugh, or made you think.
I watched Wind River the other day.
Okay.
You seen that?
Yeah.
Cool movie.
Yeah, the girl that died in the snow. Yeah.
Yeah, heavy movie. I watched that right before I left, and that was a good film. What else did I see? You know what I haven't seen is the new Star Wars, and I'm gonna catch that on my day off in London. I've been jonesing to see it, but I just got too busy when it came out. But no, Wind River, that was the most recent movie I'd watched, and I really liked it.
Okay, so final question. Kyle joined you just before the previous album. How did Kyle affect the band? How did the band affect Kyle?
Well, I guess I could probably answer the second question first.
Don't be politically correct.
We were his favorite band.
Okay.
And we've known Kyle since he was 14 years old.
Okay.
He's 20 years younger to the day of my bass player.
Okay.
So he's 30, mixed 50. So I know how special it was for Kyle to replace Thomas. Thomas was his favorite drummer. They play very similar. What he did for me and the boys personally was he's the reason the band is still going. I have no doubt in my mind, because when Thomas quit or wanted to retire, I was like, well, shit, I've been playing music for Thomas. I was in a band with Thomas before 36. So him and I had been playing for music well over 20 years at that point. So I was like, well, that's my drummer. I can't play without him. And we were just at a low point in the band's career. I mean, Collisions and Castaways was the last album he did. It's the most ununique album of ours. It could sound like any other metalcore band. I'm not that fond of it. I don't hate it. But I can look back on it and be like, wow, we weren't having a lot of fun anymore. Then a lot of other bummer stuff happened. But we had Kyle. And the morale of the band was way better, and we were like Kyle would play any song and knew any song, where there was rules before, like, we're not playing that song, no way, I hate that song. There was that kind of vibe a lot. Once Kyle got in, I was like, dude, you don't like that song, let's play that song. We're like, all right, let's try that. It was just such a different vibe, and he was younger and fresher, and he'd never done any touring, so everything was new to him, and it was fun to see that excitement. So it breathed really a really fresh breath of air into the band, and we surely needed it. And I tell him that all the time. I love Kyle. He's just an incredibly talented dude. He can play guitar like a mother. I mean, he's just a really talented kid, and it's cool to see him have grown up now, you know. And he's a good dude, and I'm grateful that he's in our band.
Did he teach you how to take a proper selfie? It looks like he's the master.
I don't know. Maybe it is. I hate selfies, so I don't know.
Okay, and did you affect his diet with adding some more bran?
He's the skinniest dude I know. He needs to eat a lot more. I could share a lot of weight with that kid.
Okay, so Lanterns just dropped last year. Anything else you want to add to fans and listeners? Camera's all yours.
Just thank you. Thanks so much for all the years of support. We're super grateful for it, and yeah, hold on to your hats.
Okay.
We're still rolling.
Thank you very much, Brock of 36 Crazyfists.
You're welcome.